These 7 American cities are vanishing before our eyes. The forces of economic collapse, environmental disasters, and mass exodus are stripping away their former glory. And the city holding the #1 spot? Even I wasn't ready for it. Let's dive in, no fluff, just the raw facts. St. Louis was once a powerhouse of American industry, a vibrant metropolis that thrived in the mid-20th century with nearly 850,000 residents at its peak. Over time, however, a combination of deindustrialization, suburban flight, and persistent social challenges has taken its toll. Today, the population has dropped below 290,000, a staggering 70% decline from its glory days. Entire neighborhoods lie abandoned, with more than 25% of the homes vacant and dilapidated. City officials have been forced to demolish over 7,000 buildings in just the last decade as they struggle to combat the rampant urban decay. Crime is a harsh reality here. St. Louis consistently ranks among the cities with the highest murder rates in the nation. Although pockets of revival exist, like efforts in the central West End, the overall picture is one of a city in a slow, painful collapse. The question remains, can St. Louis muster the will and resources to reverse decades of decline before it disappears completely? In Shreveport, the decline is equally alarming, though in a different way. Once buoyed by the oil boom and regional commerce, Shreveport has seen its fortunes dwindle dramatically. Since 2000, the population has shrunk by more than 15%, and now nearly 1 in 4 residents lives below the poverty line. But the most critical issue here isn't just economic, it's environmental. The city has become a victim of its own geography, with the Red River frequently bursting its banks. Massive flooding events have transformed entire neighborhoods into disaster zones, leaving behind landscapes scarred by water damage and erosion. Aging and failing infrastructure compounds the problem. Roads are cracking, pipes are bursting, and the public services have long since ceased to meet the community's needs. Major employers have retreated, and with companies like General Motors pulling out, unemployment has soared. With little hope for large-scale recovery in the near future, Shreveport risks becoming yet another American ghost town swallowed by nature and neglect. Detroit's decline is legendary. Its story is a somber reminder of how even once mighty cities can crumble. In 1950, Detroit was a thriving hub with 1.8 million residents, fueled by the booming auto industry that earned it the title of Motor City. But as factories closed and jobs evaporated, the population dwindled to barely 630,000 today. The fallout was catastrophic. Entire neighborhoods were abandoned, and at one point, over 80,000 buildings stood empty. Even now, nearly 30% of Detroit's land is vacant, creating a landscape of derelict properties and decaying infrastructure. In recent years, downtown Detroit has seen pockets of rejuvenation through new developments, sports arenas, and tech investments. However, these bright spots remain isolated, leaving vast swaths of the city in a state of neglect and ruin. The scars of economic collapse and social disintegration run deep, and while there are glimmers of hope, the haunting question lingers: can Detroit ever fully recover its lost majesty? Jackson is a city on life support. Over the last decade, it has lost more than 10% of its population as residents flee a failing system that shows no signs of improvement. The collapse of Jackson's water infrastructure in 2022 was a wake-up call, a catastrophic failure that left thousands without access to clean drinking water. This disaster wasn't an isolated incident, it is symptomatic of a broader crisis. The city's roads are riddled with potholes and crumbling pavement, public schools have shuttered due to budget cuts, and violent crime rates have soared to alarming levels. Local businesses are closing their doors, and once thriving neighborhoods are now desolate and foreboding. Jackson still holds a rich cultural history and is home to esteemed universities, but these assets are being undermined by chronic neglect and mismanagement. Without substantial intervention and investment, Jackson may soon become another lost chapter in America's urban decline. Gary, Indiana, stands as one of the starkest examples of urban decay in the United States. Built on the backbone of the steel industry, Gary was once a thriving community that proudly housed 178,000 residents. Today, that number has plummeted to barely 69,000, a loss of more than 60% since the 1960s. The collapse of the steel industry left a gaping economic void that the city has been unable to fill. Crime here is rampant, with rates that soar to 4 times the national average, and over 30% of homes lie abandoned and in ruins. The downtown area has all but vanished into a shadow of its former self, as residents and investors have turned their backs on a city that seems to be sinking further into despair with each passing year. Local officials are aware of the crisis, but without a significant infusion of capital and a comprehensive redevelopment plan, Gary's future looks increasingly bleak. Could this once proud steel town be the first major American city to fade into complete obscurity? New Orleans, the vibrant heart of Louisiana, now finds itself grappling with a relentless enemy, nature. The city is literally sinking at a rate of 2 inches per year, as rising sea levels steadily consume its foundations. The scars of Hurricane Katrina, which displaced over 100,000 residents in 2005, are still fresh, and the recovery has been painfully slow. Many neighborhoods remain abandoned or in severe disrepair, as the twin threats of flooding and escalating living costs force longtime residents to leave. The cultural richness of New Orleans is undeniable, but the environmental challenges are equally formidable. With each passing year, the risks from stronger hurricanes and relentless coastal erosion increase, casting doubt on whether the city can sustain its population. The Big Easy is now a battleground where the forces of nature and neglect converge, raising a pressing question: how long before New Orleans becomes uninhabitable? San Francisco's current state is perhaps the most shocking of all. Once heralded as the tech capital of the world and a symbol of progress and innovation, this iconic city is now facing an unprecedented urban collapse. In a span of just 2 years, more than 65,000 people have left as sky-high rents, rampant homelessness, and escalating crime rates drive residents away. The exodus is not only limited to individuals. Major companies such as Tesla, Oracle, and others are relocating to states with lower costs, leaving office buildings, once teeming with activity, nearly 30% vacant. Districts like Union Square and the Financial District, which were once the epicenters of commerce and culture, now have an eerie, abandoned quality. The promise of Silicon Valley and technological prowess is being overshadowed by a deep-seated crisis of affordability and social decay. San Francisco, once considered untouchable, now stands at a crossroads, fighting to reclaim its former prestige while grappling with issues that threaten to tear its social fabric apart. From economic crashes to environmental disasters, these cities are disappearing fast. Their stories are a wake-up call about the fragility of urban life in America. The challenges they face are complex and intertwined, ranging from deindustrialization and infrastructural decay to the harsh realities of climate change. Can any of these cities turn things around, or are they destined to become ghost towns, relics of a bygone era? What do you think? Which city shocks you the most, and do you believe there's hope for a comeback? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and let's discuss the future of these disappearing cities. If you want more raw, unfiltered urban insights, don't forget to hit subscribe. This is your host, signing off from America's Vanishing Urban Landscapes.